Ever since the changelings have been reformed, I've been most curious as to how the writers were going to handle Thorax's attempts at integrating them into a more friendly society. We've seen a few hints of this here and there, with a few changelings interacting with the main six during the Season 7 premiere, and Thorax talking about how difficult it is managing a new culture, but to change a changeling is our first real look into their new kingdom. And, for many of us, myself included, a big opportunity to help the audience look past their brightly colored design and see these new changelings as an entirely different culture. At least until you throw into the mix one character who wishes everyone could go back to the way things were before. The episode begins with Starlight and Trixie wanting to surprise Thorax with a visit, only to immediately get captured by a changeling who hasn't yet been reformed. This new character goes by the name of Pharynx, and while he certainly looks and sounds the part of someone who seeks to feed on love, he's actually not trying to go out and cause trouble for anyone else. Despite having a hard time understanding all these new changes, the writers haven't made him the type to just give up on everyone else so the main characters can help him see the error of his ways. If anything, it's Starlight and Trixie who end up making things worse, which, in the end, make things better. Kind of like a royal problem all over again if you think about it. And I like stories where no one character is completely in the right or completely in the wrong, where in the end, everyone is growing and learning from the experience. We might have thought that Thorax was being too passive a leader by not taking a firmer stance with Pharynx's behavior, but when he relates a story about how he used to be the outcast and it was Pharynx who used to stand up for him, we can completely understand why he'd be so loyal. We might think that Pharynx is just being a stick in the mud for wanting to tear down the pretty plants and go back to the old ways, and for a few moments in the episode, I was curious whether he might have been the Malwarf in disguise in order to force Thorax to make changes, but actually he was genuinely concerned that the changelings were becoming too passive, unwilling to defend themselves. And as stated later on, Pharynx could have simply left without caring about the well-being of the hive at all. But he shows that same loyalty that he had with Thorax from so long ago. The character motivations are spot on here. We relate to their struggles and we want to see them succeed. The story, on the other hand, is a little too standard for my liking, honestly. It is pretty obvious from the outset exactly what's going to happen step by step towards the end. With maybe the exception of the flashback from Thorax. Took me a bit by surprise there. But even a weak story can be brought up by some fantastic dialogue. And I'm glad to say that To Change a Changeling has that in spades. The banter between Starlight and Trixie has plenty of entertaining gems. The dry insults from Pharynx were a nice touch without coming across as too mean-spirited. And once again, Starlight is being called out for making assumptions, causing a situation that ends up making things worse, and in the end, learns a lesson despite Trixie's blatant egotism keeping her from learning that same lesson in the process. And can I say, Thorax's journey as a character might actually have more of an impact than Twilight's journey? At least as far as learning how to be an effective leader. I mean, Twilight has had plenty of opportunities to lead others, solving petty squabbles, negotiating peace, even standing up for her entire nation when it's on the brink of annihilation. This is by no means meant to diminish her many accomplishments. But in Thorax's case, there is no one else to step up if he can't do the job. In fact, it really wouldn't take much for Chrysalis to swoop in and take over if he were to fail in his role. And honestly, I don't know if Twilight's ever had to stay loyal to someone who is consistently rejecting friendship where even her friends and subjects are telling her to get rid of him. Thorax's journey to becoming an effective leader to me seems more intriguing than Twilight's journey, and I'm genuinely interested to see where it goes next. What do you think, though? Given all we've seen from the Changeling Society thus far, is this a good direction to take their culture? What do you suppose might lie in the future for Thorax and Pharynx? Do you have any favorite lines of dialogue from this story? I would like to hear your thoughts on To Change a Changeling. And here's hoping we get even more enjoyable character moments in MLP's future. I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.